Practice at Cal is anywhere from as little as 12 minutes to as much as 17 minutes. But it is a lot less than what we had at La Tech. At La Tech, our practices were shorter than they are at Cal, but our pre-practices were longer. The reason is because at La Tech, we could convince our players that that wasn't practice. Okay? At Cal, we're at the #1 public education institution in the world. If we're on the field for 30 minutes of pre-practice, full speed running, they're going, fuck you, that's practice. Okay? You can tell us whatever you want. At La Tech, they're going, you know, that wasn't shit. We hadn't even started practice yet. Okay? So you got to change how you verbalize and how you do stuff. And so when we first walk out onto the field, everybody's job is to get your body ready before we start pre-practice. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you're Jared Goff and you have a routine to where you go to a goalpost and you swing your leg or you swing your arm, you do whatever it is that you've done all your entire life that you want to do that I don't want to know about. Okay? If you're warming up and you're throwing the football, whatever it is that gets your body loose, you do that. Now, the one thing I've told guys, and I would do this again as a high school coach, and I'll do it again when I go to a new school as a college coach, but my guys have been trained right now that when they go out on the field as a quarterback, I don't like bullshit throws. Okay, bullshit throws are all my feet are wrong, all my fundamentals are bad, and I'm screwing around, warming up, and I'm creating bad habits. Okay? I don't like that. I don't want to see it. But I also want my guys to be able to go out on the first part of practice and relax a little bit, and to have fun a little bit, and to be with their buddies and their comrades a little bit, and to talk about what they did last night a little bit, and to do some stuff that's what any normal kid would want to do. I want them to be able to do that. So here's how I handle it. Because I get really pissed off if I walk out on the field and guys are dicking around. So you know what I do? I don't walk out onto the field until about 30 seconds before pre-practice. Okay? All the shit that they've done before, I don't know. Each position coach has gone out and done any individual extra stuff that he wants to do on his own. If I wanted to do something with the running backs or the quarterbacks running option routes with the running backs, something with those two guys together, extra handoffs or something, great. I'll go out and do it. But otherwise, I personally am not going to walk out until I'm ready to be serious and be business. So I'm going to get out on the field usually later than any of the other offensive coaches. Once we start, there's a guy that'll walk up to me. I'll walk up on the field. He'll follow me. And the clock is going to start when I say it starts. So I'm going to walk up, and then somewhere along the way, I'm going to go, all right, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's go. Perfect drill. Let's go now. Be good, be good, be good. In the meantime, the offensive line has already been on the field for 15, 20, 25 minutes working their ass off. Because our O-line coach is phenomenal, and Brian is phenomenal with him. We got two really good O-line coaches, and any great O-line coach is the same. They don't waste a fucking second. When they're on the field from the beginning of practice until the end, like we'll be in the middle of doing some team shit, and I'll say, all right, look, I'm going to give everybody a 2-minute break. 2 minutes. 2 minutes to drink water. 2 minutes to relax. You guys chill out. The O-line coach, our guy, will have our O-line over doing something, and for those 2 minutes, they're working their ass off. Okay? And that's why he's a great offensive line coach in being able to do that. So from the beginning, when we start right there, we go to perfect drill. Perfect drill used to be called noose drill. We changed the title of it 2 years ago, and now I've gotten to where in my brain it's always called perfect drill. And perfect drill fits the drill a whole lot better than what noose drill was. Many, many years ago, again, somebody taught me the name of it, and then I changed it a couple of years ago back. So when we go into perfect drill, this is what we're doing, and I'll show you what the O-line's doing here in just a second. I call a play. We have 2 minutes. Okay, we do perfect drill for 2 minutes. We used to do it for 5 minutes. When the season starts, we do it for 2 minutes. Okay? Because we only have about 3 guys in each line, 3 or 4 guys in each group. I've got 3 real quarterbacks, and then I have a equipment manager, and I have a coach that thinks he can throw. Okay? And then I have the running backs in one line. Yes, my running backs do perfect drill. They used to not do it. They do it now. The running backs do pat and go. Okay, I want them to do everything because they need to be as good a receiver as any receivers that I have. So they're going to do the same thing. So the first thing with perfect drill is I call a play for the quarterback. So I go north stick right, north stick right, north stick right, north stick right. The quarterback then gets in the stance, spins the ball, and starts his drop. He goes through his drop. He goes through his progression. When he gets to the third read of the progression, he then knows to move. So let's watch Jared. Step, starts to drop, goes through progression, moves, and after the third read in the progression, he's ready to throw the football. And actually, I don't even know if that's him. I can't tell. It doesn't look like him. And then, in the meantime, our receivers have worked a release. They're working across the field. He's going to stick and stop, and the defender's going to follow him, and now the quarterback knows that that's the near defender. He's going to make his fingers and his hands go out and make the perfect catching target, show him the target, have the fingers together. He wants to exaggerate the look of the football, look the ball in all the way. Quarterback needs to throw the ball to the shoulder pad away from the defender, which then tells him where to go. He exaggerates the look of the ball all the way until he tucks it in. When he tucks the ball in, he dips up the field, and then he goes through a gauntlet. So in the gauntlet, these guys are going to try to reach and grab and strip the ball. So again, what are we getting out of this? We're getting a perfect stance. We're getting a perfect release, a perfect hand clear, a perfect rip, a perfect stick, a perfect hand out, a perfect look in, a perfect shoulder dip, perfect straight up the field, and the quarterback is getting a perfect drop. He's going through drops, and he's going through reads. And again, watch the receiver exaggerate the look, the tuck, the straight up the field, and going from there. In the meantime, the offensive line is doing their individual. Okay? So down under the chutes, they're doing their deal. Everything is correlated into the same type of stuff that we're going to do. So they're working all their individual stuff at the same time. Once we finish our 2 minutes, so in 2 minutes, how many reps do my guys get? In 2 minutes, they get about 2 reps. Okay? And you say, well, that's not very many reps. No, it's not. But you know what I get? I get 2 great reps. Okay? I'd rather get 2 great reps than 5 bad reps. So we get 2 great reps, and then we move into pat and go. So we're going to follow this guy all the way through pat and go. So if you've been with me forever and you haven't seen our new pat and go, this has changed. This has made us a lot better. Is that we have 5 stations in pat and go that we go through, and this is a 5, 6, or 7 minute station. All right, so we're working on a great stance versus press coverage. Quarterback is going to pat the ball, and when he pats the ball, the receiver then is going to release. All right, so he pats it, receiver releases, receiver works on technique of the release, break the elbow, restack, and then we say, make sure you get back on top of the numbers. Get back on top of the numbers. It's the quarterback's job to always lead him outside, and it's his job, if you watch him, to pin the ball to where the ball drops over the outside shoulder. Okay? So he exaggerates the look, and the ball lies over the outside shoulder. He exaggerates the tuck all the way in. His eyes are on the ball until he tucks it away. And then he carries the football over to the next station. Okay? So he goes to the next station. So we'll watch him all the way through. Now he's at the next station. And on the first part, the first time he goes through the station, then Coach Peeler has him doing a knockout block. Coach Peeler is working this station, our inside receiver. So they're getting in a good stance. He's ripping them off, and they're going through a knockout block. So we've got a dummy. If you don't have a dummy, use trash cans. Use a trash can. We're getting low pad level, wide base, good punch. And there's nobody hardly waiting in lines more than 1 or 2 deep. And then they get to the next station. At the next station, we're working on ball security and finishing a run. You catch the ball, we want you to have low pad level, and we want you to finish a run. So right now, when I finish the station with Coach Peeler, I now am with Coach Tomerdahl. Coach Tomerdahl's got 2 dummies up, and he's working ball security and low pad level and finishing the run. Now I'm back over to the next pat and go stage. I'm running the same exact route. I'm on top of the numbers. The ball is dying outside again. I'm looking the ball in. I'm exaggerating it all the way in. And then I'm trotting up to my next station. At the next station, we are now doing Welker. So he's quarterbacks, and then I have a equipment manager, and I have a coach that thinks he can throw. Okay? And then I have the running backs in one line. Yes, my running backs do perfect drill. They used to not do it. They do it now. The running backs do pat and go. Okay? I want them to do everything because they need to be as good a receiver as any receivers that I have. So they're going to do the same thing. So the first thing with perfect drill is I call a play for the quarterback. So I go north stick right, north stick right, north stick right, north stick right. The quarterback then gets in the stance, spins the ball, and starts his drop. He goes through his drop. He goes through his progression. When he gets to the third read of the progression, he then knows to move. So let's watch Jared. Step, starts to drop, goes through progression, moves, and after the third read in the progression, he's ready to throw the football. And actually, I don't even know if that's him. I can't tell. It doesn't look like him. And then, in the meantime, our receivers have worked a release. They're working across the field. He's going to stick and stop, and the defender's going to follow him, and now the quarterback knows that that's the near defender. He's going to make his fingers and his hands go out and make the perfect catching target, show him the target, have the fingers together. He wants to exaggerate the look of the football, look the ball in all the way. Quarterback needs to throw the ball to the shoulder pad away from the defender, which then tells him where to go. He exaggerates the look of the ball all the way until he tucks it in. When he tucks the ball in, he dips up the field, and then he goes through a gauntlet. So in the gauntlet, these guys are going to try to reach and grab and strip the ball. So again, what are we getting out of this? We're getting a perfect stance. We're getting a perfect release, a perfect hand clear, a perfect rip, a perfect stick, a perfect hand out, a perfect look in, a perfect shoulder dip, perfect straight up the field, and the quarterback is getting a perfect drop. He's going through drops, and he's going through reads. And again, watch the receiver exaggerate the look, the tuck, the straight up the field, and going from there. In the meantime, the offensive line is doing their individual. Okay? So down under the chutes, they're doing their deal. Everything is correlated into the same type of stuff that we're going to do. So they're working all their individual stuff at the same time. Once we finish our 2 minutes, so in 2 minutes, how many reps do my guys get? In 2 minutes, they get about 2 reps. Okay? And you say, well, that's not very many reps. No, it's not. But you know what I get? I get 2 great reps. Okay? I'd rather get 2 great reps than 5 bad reps. So we get 2 great reps, and then we move into pat and go. So we're going to follow this guy all the way through pat and go. So if you've been with me forever and you haven't seen our new pat and go, this has changed. This has made us a lot better. Is that we have 5 stations in pat and go that we go through, and this is a 5, 6, or 7 minute station. All right, so we're working on a great stance versus press coverage. Quarterback is he's going to pat the ball, and when he pats the ball, the receiver then is going to release. All right, so he pats it, receiver releases, receiver works on technique of the release, break the elbow, restack, and then we say, make sure you get back on top of the numbers. Get back on top of the numbers. It's the quarterback's job to always lead him outside, and it's his job, if you watch him, to pin the ball to where the ball drops over the outside shoulder. Okay? So he exaggerates the look, and the ball lies over the outside shoulder. He exaggerates the tuck all the way in. His eyes are on the ball until he tucks it away. And then he carries the football over to the next station. Okay? So he goes to the next station. So we'll watch him all the way through. Now he's at the next station, And on the first part, the first time he goes through the station, and Coach Peeler has them doing a knockout block. Coach Peeler is working this station, our inside receiver. So they're getting in a good stance. He's ripping them off, and they're going through a knockout block. So we've got a dummy. If you don't have a dummy, use trash cans. Use a trash can. We're getting low pad level, wide base, good punch. And there's nobody hardly waiting in lines more than 1 or 2 deep. And then they get to the next station. At the next station, we're working on ball security and finishing a run. You catch the ball, we want you to have low pad level, and we want you to finish a run. So right now, when I finish the station with Coach Peeler, I now am with Coach Tomerdahl. Coach Tomerdahl's got 2 dummies up, and he's working ball security and low pad level and finishing the run. Now I'm back over to the next pat and go stage. I'm running the same exact route. I'm on top of the numbers. The ball is dying outside again. I'm looking the ball in. I'm exaggerating it all the way in. And then I'm trotting up to my next station. At the next station, we are now doing Welker. So he's on station number 5. So he's rotated through, and he's on his 5th station. The Welker station is the last step of a route. We call it Welker after Wes Welker because we used to tell our guys to catch the ball and get straight up the field, and then we watched Wes Welker do it. Welker does it, did it better than anybody in the NFL, so we named it after him. So he's going to do one step, last step of the route, and then he's going to look, exaggerate, catch it with perfect hands and eyes, dip his body straight up the field. We want it to be a catch and a quick turn up the field. So here comes Stephen again. Look, exaggerate, step right up the field, and then look where the ball went. The ball immediately went to the top of the number. So when people ask us about when do you do your individual, this is our individual. This is a cycle, a station that takes about 6 or 7 minutes for us to go through. And in that, every single individual thing that our receivers do, they do every single day. We do this drill every single day. So he's made it all the way through. Now, he's made it through the station one time. Now he goes through the second cycle. On the second cycle, we throw him back shoulder. So now if we don't have somebody up, he works an imaginary release against an imaginary defender. And now he pops his eyes at the 10-yard mark. And we now work on throwing him back shoulder. We're now purposely throwing the ball to his outside, to his back shoulder. He looks at him, puts it away, and trots to the next station to where now Coach Peeler is working on low pad level. So low pad level is a linebacker is on drop, and I'm working across the field, and the linebacker's trying to get his hands on me. I get skinny, get small. I dip my body underneath, or if I'm an outside receiver, I've got a hard corner cover 2. I dip and I get underneath, and we have 2 of these. He's got one with a dummy, and then he goes the opposite shoulder pad on the goal post, and so he's got 2 low pad level deals in. And then he's on to the next phase. And all the way through the cycle, all the way through again. So we do 2 cycles through, and now the O-line again is working on whatever it is that they're working on during that time period. So everything is flowing together. All right, once we finish that part of practice, all right, then we go through, we're at the final phase of our pre-practice flow. All right, so our pre-practice, our final phase is our goal line routes. And this is the old routes on air stuff, but we do it on the goal line or close to the goal line. So this is now, whatever the concept it is that we're running, is that we're running this down here. And I'm going to do the same thing every day, is that whatever the concept is, the outside receivers are going to catch 2 balls. One is going to be a press fade, and the other is going to be a press back shoulder. What everybody else does is not nearly as important on the first part of the route. So right now we're running the old mesh stuff, and we're running it with 2 outside guys. I'm going meal, double XZ streak, and I'm telling them it's outside shoulder press fade. And then we've got the running back running a little deal we added at the end of the year to where he's running a free release, trying to grab the whole player and pull him deep. And then if he doesn't get open, he's working in the middle. So we separated who was in the middle, different than what we had it last year. But the biggest thing we're doing is we're working on these 2 outside guys. And notice what they do down here on the goal line. If you work goal line press fades, the one thing that you understand is that your quarterback on the goal line has to catch the ball in the gun. If we're in the gun, he's going to catch and he has to grip the football. If you work a release early, you're going to win and have nowhere to go. If you win on a goal line fade, you're going to win early, you're going to be covered late. So we tell our guys to stay covered. So in this drill, they exaggerate staying covered. So he's going to stay covered. So watch his release. We tell him to try to work about a 3-second release on it. Exaggerate it. So he's going to work. And now he's going to release late. And the ball then is in the air because he's caught it. And we're going to try to hit him, working him back to the back pylon. Same thing on the other side. Working it there, work it. So watch it. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. So he's sticking it right at about 2.5. And then the ball again is leading them outside. If we're running mesh down here, we'll have a man look, and then we'll have a zone look. And then the quarterbacks that are throwing the ball, you've got 5 snappers, which are the guys in the back of the line. They come up and snap the ball, or it could be your equipment manager, or it could be an injured person. It could be a parent that comes to practice every day. Get them out here and get them involved. Teach them how to snap. It's a great deal when you teach a booster that's an asshole, and he comes to practice every day. Get him out and get him involved. Have him snap. And then motherfuck him when he doesn't do it right. When the snap's not perfect or he doesn't do it right, get on his ass, and that'll make him be a little bit more real. Okay? And then the quarterbacks, as you can tell here, we've got 2 non-quarterbacks throwing. We have an equipment manager and a coach throwing in this drill. Now we come back and we do it again. And now we throw back shoulder once we've gone through the cycle of press fade. Now we're working the back shoulder throw so that we get that work in down on the goal line. Okay? And then when those guys come back, then they're the guys that are snapping when they come back. And again, the O-line is doing that. We're still in pre-practice, and then we started doing this at least 1 day a week, but really we did it, most of the time we did it 2 days a week. Is that we then went to the next phase and we worked any picks or rubs that we were going to work. So in this case, we ran double under, and then we ran Z on we ran double under, and we ran double YH pick. So a pick to us meant outside in. Our inside receivers were coming outside, and they were throwing their ass at these guys, and we're coming underneath them. So we've got it on both sides. Throw your ass out. And then we threw them a ball just because we want everybody to catch balls all they can. And then the running back, it didn't affect his route at all. He's just running his normal Swede, free release Swede. All right? Then the next phase would be whatever it would be that we were doing. So if we called rub, it meant that we were running an outside in rub. So now we're running out, and we're running double XZ rub. So we go out double, and we're rubbing, which normally for us, we had soft coverage inside, press coverage outside. So we work the release. We try to climb as deep as they are, and it's his job to look and keep his eyes inside to where that we have man, that we have the ability to do that. And again, we're letting everybody catch a football. And on this, I can either keep the running backs out or I can play fake them and have them pop. And again, the O-line is working on their individual stuff. All right, now, the next phase of this, the next phase that we got into on this, we would go immediately then to stretch. So we've been out on the field now for about 15, 17 minutes of our pre-practice routine, and then we go to stretch. And then stretch, our strength coaches get them together, and normally that's 5 minutes. So once we got stretch, we're now into the next phase of practice. So our offensive line has had about 30 to 35 minutes of individual already. Okay, then we stretch and we go to the next phase. So the next phase for us as the season went on is that we went into coming off. So we went down on the goal line and we worked on 2 or 3 concepts to where that we were going to come off on the goal line, and to where that I could then always talk to them about what can you not do on this part of the field. The offensive linemen know that if we're inside the 5-yard line, they cannot hold. If they hold and the ball is in the end zone, it's a safety. So they know that they can't hold. All right? The quarterback knows that he cannot take a sack. Okay? So this is a time for me to be able to preach that, and then we run whatever it is that we're going to run on that part of the field, which for me is that normally I'm going to be very aggressive on this part of the field, and this is a chance for me to get a couple of those looks in during this time period. So we ran grab there. The plays are not important. Now we get into a big set. We go giant. So we got 7 O-linemen on the field. We got single coverage outside with single coverage routes. X takeoff, Z comeback. So now the quarterback, you can tell that he's telling the running back which way to go. He makes a play fake. And then he works the takeoff back down to the comeback. All right? So once we do that and we've run, for 4 or 5 minutes, we've run coming off stuff, I then now flip it. Okay? So we turn it and we go in and I do short yardage going in, which saves the legs of my receivers, puts us in big sets, and I use whatever the short yardage plays are going to be during that time period. So we're now inside the 5-yard line. We're going in. We're in bone. We're running stretch right, double XZ post. And the quarterback is working on his stuff. So again, here with the quarterback, when he's down on this end of the field, I'm telling him never get the ball tipped, air on the ball. We've got to be able to catch it on the back line and get our toes down. So I flip it over and I do this for 3 or 4 minutes. We're giving the looks that Coach Hamilton is responsible for all the looks. I don't do any scout team stuff. Okay? The only time I address the scout team looks that we're getting is if they don't work. Is if Coach Hamilton and my GA have screwed it up and we're not getting what we need to get, then I address it. But otherwise, they know that it's their job for them to put all the stuff on scout team for us goes on a wristband. And so Coach Hamilton goes 16-16. So the D-line looks at their band and it tells everybody where to line up. And we put everything in terminology of our defense. Okay, so that if we have a scout team guy lining up, it's a 3 technique, it's going to tell him exactly what it would tell him in defense. And the wristbands save the time. Cards take time. Wristbands, all you got to do is give them a number, they look at it and they get lined up fast, and it makes everything go a lot faster. So that's part of the practice flow as well. All right, then the next part of the phase is the green zone. Okay, so now for me, the green zone is the 10-yard line going in, and it is a place to where that we need to score touchdowns. Okay, we've been usually pretty good on scoring touchdowns in this part of the field. This year we weren't as good as we needed to be, or else we would have been a 45 to 50-point team instead of a 38-point team. If we're a 45 to 50-point team, we win 9, 10, 11 instead of 8 games this year. But so I got to do a better job down here. So again, I've got my script. And whatever it is that we're going to work down here, I'm working this at this time. And I'll have a game plan for this. It doesn't change dramatically every week. And a lot of this for me is feeling and flow during a ball game as to how I'm calling a game. But I will work it every week. And I'll move the ball from the 9 to the 8 to the 7 to the 6 and all the way down. And I'll do a lot of run-pass stuff on this. And this gives Jared a lot of time to work on his decision-making. And that's the greatest thing about run-pass, is that when you run pass, calling plays in the green zone and the goal line going in become much easier. I can get in a big set and I can run a run play, or I can get in an empty set and I can run a run pass combo out of an empty set, which you'll see some on. And then the next part is I go into what I just started calling 20 plays. In 20 plays, we're going to be everything out of a 2x2 set at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, it would be a 2x2 on one day, a 3x1 on the other day. The last 4 weeks of the season, when I dropped 3x1, it was all 2x2. So I would go tight end on the right for 10 plays all the way down, and then 4 wide for 10 plays all the way down, moving the ball, making sure that we got every single thing that we were going to do. So we're moving the ball down the field, 5 and 6 yards at a play. All the coaches are on the sideline during all this stuff. We're doing everything. I've got managers moving the ball. They know how to move the football for us, to move the ball from sideline to sideline, and to move it as far as we want to move it. Trying to get our tempo going now and work with our tempo. And again, you can see the running back. If you want running backs to be better in space, then you have to let them practice being better in space on practice. So right now, he's at about 45, 50 yards down the field, and he's still working. So to do that, for me, that means a lot of times I'm going to have a third or fourth team back in running a play, and that's okay. Okay, I can have a bad guy in as long as my good guys are getting better. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do during this period. We're moving the ball down the field. I've got a script. I'm actually following the script during this, because I want to make sure that I get everything run during the week. I want to get a little bit of touch of each part of this. When that part is over with, we now go against our defense, okay, for about a 10 or 15 minute period. So the practice flow now is the defense is going to come to us, or we're going to go to them, and we're going to do one-on-one and inside. So when we do one-on-one against our defensive backs, we do 2 guys at a time because we have enough receivers that we need to get more reps in. So we've got 2 balls being thrown at the same time. So basically right now, I am over here on the sideline calling the play. The signal guys are on the sideline signaling their guys. Whoever signals the quarterback is signaling them. So we're getting more reps just like we were in everything else. Everything we do, we want to be simulated as if it were game day. Every single thing that we do wants to be done as if it's game day, okay? So all the coaches are trying to get to the spots where they would be. 2 quarterbacks are here, and then the other quarterback is down with the other guys running inside. So the running backs and the offensive line are down on the other end. You'll see that in a second. It's my job to call routes that these guys need to run, but it's also my job to call routes to where that if somebody makes a play, they're not going to fall on a ball. I got to make sure that I call plays where they don't fall on the ball. And then we try to get 2 angles from this, which is great because it makes it really good to teach. And here's the thing. You don't have to have all these cameras. All you need is an iPhone. Okay? An iPhone is a hell of a deal. You just stand behind them and you can film it, and then you can show it to them when they come back, when a guy's in the back of the line. Okay? So there's a lot of ways to get really good video to where that you can teach from. So we try to get them both angles to where that we can see both angles. And then you can tell here like I'm working on different stuff. So the play call on that was outright 53 left. So this is the outside receiver, and he's running a 3 versus press coverage. All right? Once we've gone through, normally for us, we're going to go 3 or 4 minutes, and 3 or 4 minutes of one-on-ones from way out on the field. I want to do the last 90 seconds down on the goal line because it's a completely different one-on-one route when you're inside the 5-yard line than it is out on the field. So we then want to go down and do the last 90 seconds of one-on-one stuff down here. And most of the time when we go down here, we only throw our starting quarterback and we only do 1 receiver at a time. So he's going to work on a press, whatever it is here, it's out left, so he's working on a slant. All right? He's working on his inside release on a slant, and again, we're going to try to get him from both angles and get both those things on film. In the meantime, while we're doing all this, we're running inside down versus the defense. So we're trying to get some thumping going on. They do a good job of taking care of the running back to where the running back's not going to get killed, but he is going to get thumped a little bit. And I'll let Coach Hamilton and Coach Jones, they make out the script for this. And then I have another quarterback down there. But if you don't have enough quarterbacks, then you can obviously in this, then you can have a equipment manager or a backup coach, go down there and do that. When we finish that, we then go to Skelly versus the defense, 7-on-7, and the O-line and D-line do 1-on-1. All right, so that's the next phase of practice. And you guys are going to get copies of practice schedules, some early in the season and some late in the season. So again here, if you'll look at the backup quarterbacks, all right, here's the play. All the coaches are on the sideline signaling. All right, backup quarterbacks are behind the starting quarterback, and they are going through and they're getting their rep. Where would you have thrown the ball on this? Well, I can watch and see where they're throwing the ball on this. Did they go front side or did they go back side? And then we're moving the ball. The one thing you see with us on Skelly is that we usually start back on the 37-yard line going this way, and I'll tell them how many plays and I'll tell them how many yards to move the marker. So if it's 10 plays, they're moving it about 6 yards a play. If it's 8 plays, they're moving it, a little bit longer than that as they go down the field. And then we decide how we're going to do that. We try to get 2 angles, and then we finish up down here for the last couple of snaps so that we get and we move the ball, we move that little line deal, we move it from left to right and right to left and try to get every look that we can get as we go down the field. And while we're doing this, our O-line is doing one-on-ones, which if you're not doing one-on-ones like this, it's always best to have all the linemen line up. And then again, you can have an equipment manager or somebody back here catching the snap. So you're trying to get your one-on-one pass rush. And again, if you can get it from both angles, you can do that. All right. Then we do special teams. Okay. And that's not on here. We do anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes a day of special teams, and we break it up into two pieces. So somewhere early in practice, we're going to do one phase of special teams, and then somewhere again later in practice, we're going to do another phase of special teams. And it's better not to do all your special teams at the end of practice because you don't get a lot of great reps. And so we've changed it to where that we try to do it. I constantly talk to the offensive players, the running backs especially in the room, is that if you're not starting on a special team, you probably won't travel. If you're not a really good special team guy, you're probably not going to travel. So if you're the fourth team running back, fifth team running back, and you want to get on that plane to go play at UCLA, you damn well better be starting on a special team, and you damn well better be good. And so this year, our top 5 special teams players were offensive players, and they were 3 of them were running backs that made plays all throughout the season, and the other ones were receivers. And so that's pretty good. You got to sell your guys on the importance of special teams if you're going to do it, or else you'll get your ass beat. Once special teams are over with, then we go into a team set. And so our team set could be that we always, somewhere in practice, in the middle of practice, we do something that we call foreplay, to where that we go 4 plays of our good on good, our good offense versus our good defense, and we do 4 plays. It's going to be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Or it's going to be 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and 3rd and 9. It's going to be some situation where that there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And then after that, when we've broken up, then we go into team to where that we're going against scouts and we're running against script. We're running script. And so we're in that phase right now to where that we're moving down the field, we're running team, and we're going against that. All right, that was team against our good defense. Now we separate from our defense, and I don't know if you guys, it depends on how big a school you're at. Some of you can't do this. But if we separate from our defense, the defense is now down. If you're like John, I know when I used to work with John at Owensboro Catholic, is that we would do like offense every day for at least 30 to 45 minutes. But we had a primary offensive day and a primary defensive day, then another primary offensive day and another primary defensive day. But every day that we did that, we had 35 to 45 minutes of the other thing. So if it was primary defense, we did an hour and a half of defense and then 35, 45 minutes of offense. So you can rearrange and get that done however you need to do it. But what we're going to do now is that one day a week at least, when we get to the next phase to where we're going and we're practicing against the other team, we're going against what we're going to see that week. We're doing the stuff that we're going to do when we're in our team concept is I'm going to go through our trick play menu. Okay? We have a menu for trick plays that I run the entire season, and then somewhere during the season I'm going to call most of those trick plays. Okay? The only way I don't call all the trick plays is if we're really good, and then sometimes I'm afraid of it. So in this case, we're over on the other field and we're practicing our trick play stuff. So we had a double pass. I'm going to go over all the trick plays here a little bit later. Now we've got a flea flicker, a handoff, pitch back, a flea flicker play, which you'll see both of that stuff. So we're doing all that stuff. The moment we finish that, then we go into our blitz pickup. And there's a huge change in our blitz pickup for what we did this year that we think really helped us. Okay? So PUP is pass under pressure. And what we started doing was that save our receivers' legs, our receivers line up downfield to where they would be, and then they trot the last 3 steps of the route. The running backs run full speed. If the running backs are involved in the blitz pickup, then the running back is involved in the blitz pickup. If not, he's running his route full speed. The reason I did that with the running backs is because I had 5 of them. Okay? The receivers almost always had just 2 or 3. But having 5 guys, they didn't get enough full speed reps, so I made them do full speed reps during this. But all the receivers are lined up, so this is stick right. So he had press and he's at an MOR. They tell the DB what they're doing, and they just do the last 2 steps. So the ball is snapped. All our O-line is blocking the blitz pickup scheme. It's all carded. The defense is going through it. And now you can see the receiver. He's on the last 2 steps. He's on the last 2 steps. He's running the route full speed. And then the O-line is full speed on blitz pickup. So these guys have got wristbands on. You see the band on his arm, the band on his arm. They've been given the number. And so we're getting the look that we need to get, getting it on film where Coach Jones can work at it. He works at it all throughout practice. Here's another one, empty south. And again, Receivers are walking the last 2 steps of the route until the ball is in the air because we're trying to save their legs. Okay? We're trying to save them to where that they're fresh on game day. So practice flow, the quarterback is getting all the reps in, and it's important to me that our starting quarterback takes most of these reps. So usually I'll do like 10 reps with him and 6 reps with the backup. And then sometimes as the season goes on, we're trying to make practice shorter. The backup doesn't get any of the reps at all. When that is over with, then we go into what we call super fast. Okay? As we've gone through practice, we're always fast, we're always tempo, we're always moving, we're always trying to be game-like. But now, the last part of practice, I want to run 8 to 10 plays super fast tempo. So that means that we want to be going ronda. We want to run a play, ronda, and go super fast tempo. And now the scout team, just get lined up. I don't care what you're in, just get lined up. So we run the play, and then we want to get lined up and run the next play. We're running the ball down the field. Okay? Quarterback's having to react and respond and go fast. Moving the ball down the field. I'll be yelling where the ball is on the next play. And then I decide how many plays it takes us to score. And then when that is over with, I usually gather them up, say something real quick. Then we trot back over and we're over with the defense. The head coach calls up practice, says whatever it is he's going to say, which in college, there's about 9 million fucking announcements after every practice. Who's interviewing with who? Okay? Who's in academic shit? Okay? Whose charity are we doing tomorrow? About 20 things that we go over. My favorite end of practice routine that I ever had was when I coached at Mayfield High School. 1993, 94, and 95, I was at Mayfield High School, and the end of practice routine was practice was over and the coaches just started walking off the field and fucking went home. Okay? We won the state championship. The speech after the game was the same speech it was after the first game, which was nothing. Okay? The game was over with. Everybody went in, showered, got on the bus, and went home. The coaches didn't say shit. Okay? That's my favorite post-game practice shit that you do. Okay? But today, there's a lot of speeches being made. And the one thing about speeches you have to remember is that who are you giving it for? Is the speech for you, or is it really for the players? Because what happens if you do the same speeches every day, some motivational deal every day? What do the players do? Click, turned off. Okay? It's the same thing as you MFing all day long, every day. You know, you sorry piece of shit, you fucking loping, bam, 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 for 2 hours every day. About 4 weeks in, the kid doesn't even hear it. He pays no attention to it at all. Okay? So you got to remember when you're trying to make a point, are you making the point for you to make yourself feel better? Or are you actually trying to get better? Are you actually trying to improve? And I can MF with the best of them, okay? But I also know that if I do that, I better be throwing out some sweet shit too, okay? And if I MF somebody really bad all the time, I better go down and see them when practice is over with. I better find them, and I better love them up, and I better hug them some. I better find a way to where that I'm not the same person all the time. And that's one of the things that as a coach, I think that's part of learning and educating is that to make sure, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this to make me feel better? And sometimes we do it even to perform. I'm just performing. I'm just doing it because everybody thinks it's funny and they like to hear me say shit. Okay? But am I doing it for that, or am I actually doing it to try to get better? All right, let's take in. Years ago, I had no play action, and I wasn't anywhere near as good a coach as I am with play action. So to me, it's very important that you get really, really good in the play action part of this passing game because it also helps your offensive line tremendously in protection. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do practice flow. And this is kind of a new addition. I want you to watch the flow of practice so that everything that you've seen now that I've talked about, I'm going to show you how that goes in the flow of a practice. Okay, when we first go out onto the field, is we have what we now call pre-practice. Our pre-practice at Louisiana Tech was 28 minutes. Our pre-practice